So, a section of the media and some political parties have sought to drag the Rajya Sabha Deputy Chairman, Professor Kurien's name into this controversy. I wish to make the following statement in this regard. It is emphatically stated that Professor Kurien has never been an accused in the case, which is called the Suryan Ali case, which has been remanded by the Supreme Court to the Kerala High Court for rehearing of the appeal. The Suryan Ali case started on the basis of an FIR number 71/96 filed on 17th January 1996, which is now 17 years ago, in which a girl complained of rape by several people. Subsequently, as per revelations of the girl, 42 persons were listed as accused. There was no mention of Professor Kurien at that time. After about 2 months, on the eve of the 1996 general elections, the girl gave a complaint to the then Chief Minister, Shri A.K. Antony, alleging that Professor Kurien was also involved in this case, and the Desh Bemani, the CPM mouthpiece, immediately published it. Professor Kurien immediately he himself requested the DGP for an inquiry in the matter. He also sent a defamation notice against the girl and Shri E.K. Nayanar, the then chief editor of Deshbhumi. The allegation was investigated by Shri Rajivan, a senior IPS officer, who after examining more than 30 witnesses, telephone records, statement of the state car driver, logbook of the state car, and the distance and time involved in reaching the alleged place, came to the firm conclusion that it was humanly impossible for Professor Kurien to reach the alleged place of the crime, and therefore Professor Kurien is not at all involved in the crime. The investigation also concluded that the allegation against Professor Kurien is either a genuine mistake or the girl is being used as a tool by his political adversaries. During the same elections, the girl's father filed a petition in the High Court asking for the CBI inquiry. However, they did not pursue it or appear in the court after the Lok Sabha election, and hence the same was dismissed for non-prosecution. The obvious conclusion is that they were satisfied with the inquiry report, or that the petition was meant only to be used during the elections. The left front Chief Minister, Shri A.K. Nayanar, who had made the allegation against Professor Kurien and who was by now an accused in the defamation case filed by Professor Kurien, constituted an investigation team. He had become Chief Minister by then. An investigation team led by DIG Shri C.B. Matthews. This team, after detailed investigation and questioning all witnesses, came to the conclusion that Professor Kurien was not involved. A third investigation was ordered by the then Chief Minister, Mr. Nayanar, who was the CPM Chief Minister, by yet another police officer, Shri Soma Sundra Menon, who again, after thorough examination and investigation, questioning even Professor Kurien's estranged staffer, came to the same conclusion that Professor Kurien was not involved. In the meantime, the maintainability of the defamation suit filed by Professor Kurien was decided in his favor in the lower court, and Shri Nayanar and the girl went in appeal to the High Court. Now again, on the eve of the 1999 general election, a private complaint was filed by the girl in the court on the same issue, which was challenged by Professor Kurien, and the matter went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court found it a fit case for discharge and directed Professor Kurien to file for discharge in the lower court. Accordingly, the discharge petition was filed, which was not allowed in the lower court, but the High Court, in its judgment in April 2007, containing 71 pages, the judgment was 71 pages, discharged him of all charges after considering all points raised by the complainant. It is to be mentioned here that the investigating officer, Shri K.K. Joshua, appointed by the left front government itself, submitted a written statement in the court that Professor Kurien was not involved. So now this is the most important thing. The High Court observed, and I quote, "I find that the circumstances and evidence produced in the matter do establish that the case foisted against the petitioner is false. It is quite unfortunate that the petitioner had to undergo the trauma of facing such a false case of a scandalous nature for the last more than 1 decade." This is what the High Court says. A perusal of the judgment will also show that the High Court decided the private complaint on its own merit, independent of the judgment in the Swear and Ali case, acquitting the accused persons. The left front government went in appeal, but the Supreme Court rejected it in November 2007, thus confirming the discharge. This decision of the Supreme Court has not been challenged so far by anyone. The left front government, which was in power then, did not even file a review petition. An impression is sought to be created that there are some new disclosures. All these disclosures, especially the statement of the convict made after 17 years, which he had an opportunity to make before the investigating team or in the court, do not challenge the established fact of the impossibility of Professor Kurien reaching the alleged place, which is arrived at on the basis of telephone records, key witnesses, including the driver of the state car, the logbook of the state car, and the time and distance involved. This conclusion is reached by 3 investigating teams mentioned earlier. The matter was raised by the opposition in the Kerala Assembly. The legal opinion received by the government of Kerala from the Director General of Prosecution and the senior Supreme Court lawyer who represented the complainant girl. This lawyer who gave the opinion was the one who represented the girl in the Supreme Court, and also of the Law Secretary, Government of Kerala, said that no case has been made.